Hi there, I'm Rob Carlmark, a meteorologist here at ABC 10, and let me just show you a couple things that we're looking at here in Northern California as I am taping this here early on Saturday morning. Now, we are going to see a few changes once we get past the weekend, and that's sort of where a lot of the focus has been about how much rain or snow are we going to get, the first sort of cooler, wet pattern emerging toward the end of next week. And there's a lot of details, and there's some changes as well. So let's just take you through the last 24 hours, because you can see that we've been teased with some high clouds drifting through south of our area near Yosemite, a little bit of rain, even some high elevation flurries. But as of early Saturday morning, just a few clouds here and there, a great sunrise, and day two of the ski season for places like Mammoth and Mount Rose. Now, one thing combines these two areas that is different than some other spots. The bases of the mountains for their operations, where basically you park and the lodges are and the ski lifts begin, they're pretty high. For Mammoth, for Main Lodge, is close to 9,000 feet. For Mount Rose, it's 8,600 feet. So they have an advantage just because of where they are elevation, so they can make snow earlier, more continuously, and they're just able to get open just depending on the dry weather that we've had, actually. Now, other places are on the calendar. They're making snow. I don't see any reason why they won't be able to hit their target. It just kind of depends how things are going. And they might have a little bit of help from Mother Nature down the road with some snowfall potential happening later on in the week. Now, remember, each and every storm and pattern that emerges is happening in a different environment this year compared to last year. Last year, we had La Niña, and it was starting to fade during the season. And here we are with El Niño. Now, El Niño is when this part of the Pacific is warmer than average by ½ degree centigrade or more. We're clearly meeting that threshold. In fact, we're going to have no problem staying above that all the way through the rest of this fall, winter, and even spring, because this is where we are as of the middle of November. The computer models, you run several different ones valuing different parameters so you can kind of get an idea. And they're very much in agreement that we're going to be dealing with El Niño conditions in that part of the world all the way through this January, where it could peak, and then hanging on at least through spring. So we do expect it to fade a little bit as we move past the peak. But what we've seen in many years in the past, when it's either strong or very strong, what we would call a strong El Niño or a super El Niño, is that more often than not, we tend to see more precipitation moving through California, portions of Nevada, Arizona, basically through the desert Southwest, and even including portions of Northern California. Now, as you're watching this, you can easily find examples where, hey, this didn't happen at all, or hey, it was exactly the opposite in years X, Y, and Z. I totally get that. However, you have to base your decisions and understanding off some sort of grouping of data, and NOAA has put something together that indicates when it's strong or really strong, we tend to see more storms based California and also down to the south, and the opposite for the Pacific Northwest. Now, the near term has been not that way. In fact, we've seen lots of storms in the Pacific Northwest. Good for them to get a break from the overall pattern that is expected, because usually it's dry and they've been dealing with drought conditions. So early rain and snow for them, this is a good development. In fact, it's pretty strong at the moment. We've got lots of cold air that will make them move. The problem is figuring out exactly how things play out next week. So I've talked a lot about the background. We'll get to the regional near-term forecast and then go back to our scenarios for next week. Light wind today, cold in the morning, 30s and 40s, just a beautiful day. This is great. This is our big mountain backyard forecast, mostly centered on the middle of the Central Valley and what will it look like and feel like. You can see very little wind, lots of sunshine, highs near 70, a beautiful day. Now, regionally, there are differences in temperature, mostly based on a day like today on elevation. You go up a little bit higher. We're looking at mid-60s for Arnold. Go up a little bit higher, mid-50s for South Lake Tahoe and Truckee, which, by the way, in those locations, middle of November, that's pretty warm. And you definitely feel the sunshine there. Overall, we're going to be seeing conditions that cool down in the morning tomorrow back to the 40s. But during the day today, this is pretty nice. Our average is 67. We're looking at upper 60s, low 70s, so a little bit above average. But overall, a nice experience, a nice day ahead. What about tomorrow? Maybe you've got church. Maybe you've got football that you want to watch. Maybe you are going to play in the backyard football or whatever. We've got great weather. Whatever you want to do, even if you don't want to do anything, you want to go outside and read a book. The weather is going to be good, and it's going to be enjoyable and nice. So let's fast forward to next week. Now we're going to start off in the middle of the day on Monday. We have some clouds, and there's plenty of moisture out here. So what's going to happen with this? You could see the rotation here. This is what we call a cutoff low. It's essentially detached from the main steering winds, which is what we call the jet stream, and it's just wobbling out here in the Pacific. Now, these are notoriously difficult to forecast. In my forecasting career, some of the biggest misses of all time are because of these guys, because there's like a knuckleball. There's an element of randomness as it wobbles around and finds its way. For example, if the core of this shifts over just 100 miles, then all of a sudden we're looking at this constant heavy rain. If it shifts away, we could be looking at no rain. But as of right now, we'll split the difference, just hugging the coast, bringing rain chances to many coastal locations and even inland locations between Tuesday and Thursday. But then as it eventually gets picked up by some steering winds closer to Southern California, then it comes ashore, drags it across, and they're looking at more likely steady, heavier rain in Southern California and then moving along. Remember that scenario I showed you for El Nino, where a lot of the real more consistent action happens about here through the desert Southwest? So that may be an indication of some sort of El Nino influence, but you don't take one storm and say, ha, that's El Nino. That would be not smart. You have to look at patterns over a season, and then we'll see where we end up. So this is the scenario as I'm speaking to you early on Saturday. We're looking at a lot of more consistent rain and better rain totals along the coast from Northern California through Central, Southern, and beyond. And we'll have to watch here closely where that low decides to wobble. At this point, we are still looking at cooler conditions with clouds and rain chances starting on Tuesday through Wednesday and Thursday. And if that low continues on that path to Southern California and beyond, we should see some clearing and, in fact, could be looking at a dry weekend for next weekend.